Hi, this is Pharma, and today I want to talk about distractions. Now, I've been a pharmaceutical QP releasing batches since 2004. So 15 years, 16, 17 years now. And dealing with distractions is actually a big part of the job. If you're in the middle of a process of reviewing a batch, maybe that batch is going to take you half a day, maybe it's going to take you a week, depending on what sort of batch it is, what sort of process, if it's clinical or commercial, if there's a lot of technical detail, or if it's just a basic, simple overlabeling activity. So it could take you half an hour, it could take you a few days. How do you know where you're up to? Well, I find that distractions can stop you actually completing the work, and if you've got to a certain point and you don't track where you're up to, then you're going to have to start again when you get distracted. The first, I think in my first QP role, I was sitting next to another QP in between two, I think, and we used to shut the door, shut everybody out. Anybody comes in, you stop work. So you avoid making mistakes from distractions by stopping work and continuing afterwards. But you need to know where you're up to. You need a checklist system for doing it. But what else can you do? What if you're in a job where you're doing small amounts of activity, or you're doing a really large amount of activity and you don't have a checklist in place? Well, the best thing from my perspective, put one in place, because that's a really good way of identifying where you're up to. However, if you're doing a lot of technical reviewing and you really need to know, you need to establish a good understanding in depth of what it is that you're looking at, and you want to avoid distractions. So how do you do that? Well, currently, the easiest way for me, lock myself in my office, home office, have all the information I need there in front of me, don't do anything else. I even put my phone in the house so that I don't get distracted from calls or messages, and that works. But routinely during the day, there's things that you need to do. You need to answer the phone on occasion. I have a desk phone instead. I can put that one on Do Not Disturb, but maybe there's some work coming in. Maybe there's something urgent that I need to deal with. And then there's all the social aspects that we deal with now. Well, Facebook, yeah, I can turn that off. LinkedIn is often business inquiries. Do I really want to turn them off? Well, for a period of time, yes. To avoid the distractions and focus on getting the work done, that's what I need to do. I turn off the distractions and I focus on getting the job done for discrete amounts of time. And that's what I recommend as a Pomodoro method. And it's 25 minutes working, focused working, and then there's a 5-minute break. And in the 5-minute break, you go away from what you were doing and you come back to it. And I find that actually improves concentration, which is strange considering you're stopping. Um, but it's stopping to do something other than what you're doing. It's not stopping, staying at your computer and moving on to LinkedIn or Facebook or some emails. It's stopping, moving away from the computer, 5-minute break, coming back and getting back on. I actually find that more effective than working through 3 hours in one go and dealing with distractions as you go along. That's just an idea, something that you might be able to use. Now, pharmaceutical supply chain is full of distractions. If you're a QP, all these things around you that you can see, you've got deviations, you've got CAPAs, you've got phone calls from something that's urgent from the boss, it can be harder to deal with. And what I like to do is, if I'm on site, is set a time. So when I've been doing something technical, I either go away and find an office and shut myself away in it, book yourself a meeting for an hour with yourself, or you have your own office and people can't come in unless the door's open. But you do need to find a way, because focused concentration for half an hour or an hour can get a job done which otherwise with distractions might take you all day. So it's always a good idea. Take away the distractions and get focused on what you're doing. It's Paul Pharma. Talk to you soon.